Today, I want to share with you different ways that I connect to try to help you to figure out how you are already connecting with your guides. Welcome back to Spirit Made Me Do It, everybody. I'm so happy to have you here. And welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you so, so very much. And thank you for all the people who leave comments. Whenever we have an exchange of comments, I always feel a little bit of bonding there, and it's really great. So thank you so very much for that. But let's get into this. Um, But first, I really want to talk about my last video where I had my existential crisis. I'm still going through some stuff just to let you know, because this doesn't take care of itself immediately. Certain things come back and pop up and whatnot, but you just work through it. But I've been doing a lot of self-isolating. It's been difficult for me to do readings lately. So I haven't been taking readings, but if you are looking for a reading, I have opened back up, and all you have to do is go to aristotle.com. That's aries-stotle.com, and there's a link in the description below. But okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about what it feels like when I get into certain energies. And to do this, I am going to use public figures, because I think it will be easier for you to see how I do this, because you are already picking up on the energies of other people. You're already picking up on that. Your immediate, I mean, you use all of your senses all of the time to do readings. So you immediately pick up on the strength of someone. You immediately pick up on whether or not somebody is feeling insecure. I mean, you can tell by the body language, you can tell by a lot of different things. Let's take Taylor Swift, only because she's a very public presence. But when you watch her perform, when you listen to her talk, if you see her on interviews or whatnot, you can feel her strength. You can feel her confidence. You can feel all of those things. Pay attention to other things that you're picking up, things that might pop into your head, things that you're picking up on subconsciously. Just sit in that energy and let it kind of work through you. Kind of go deeper into it. I don't know how to describe it really much better than that. But you really kind of have to just allow yourself to follow that energy and see where it goes. Taylor Swift has a very strong energy, like I said, a very good energy. She is somewhat of a private energy as well, even though she puts out everything that she does in her music. We've all heard stories about how she writes about bad breakups, and she's making money off of it. Good on her. She's not saying who the song is about. She's not calling anybody out. She's telling you about her experiences. She's a songwriter. They're storytellers. That's a form of storytelling. But when I go into her energy, and she is a loving energy, but she's somewhat guarded as well. To me, although she does show that she's playful, and she does allow a certain amount of her inner child through, it feels like she is kind of like boxed that inner child in. There's something about that inner child that she's very, very protective of. You can feel the block. When you feel somebody's energy and you feel something in your solar plexus, it almost feels, to me, it actually looks like darkness. And that doesn't mean that they're a bad person or anything like that, but that darkness indicates a block, and you can actually kind of feel like a stop, like you're not moving forward into it anymore when there's a block on certain parts of people, when they're putting up a block like that. Um, you can also tell a lot, as I said, by looking at the actions of their person in their physical world. You can tell a lot. Let's go to Kim Jong-un. That man has the energy of a toddler. You can feel his superiority, but you can also feel that he does not understand why he has that. He doesn't understand why he has always been made to feel important. It feels as though he's always been told that he was superior to others, and this is something that he believes. But he's definitely stuck in that 4, 5, 6 year old emotional stage. I want what I want and I'm getting it no matter what it takes because I deserve it. Not really knowing why he deserves it. And I'm not saying that he does deserve the things that he gets, but he does play a pivotal role in how things are happening in the world. He's part of the lower energy side. We're always trying to find that balance between the higher energy and the lower energy because they are both important. I try not to look at things, people especially, as bad, or I look at them as lower energy. I look at them as working out of a position of fear. I'm not trying to be controversial or anything, but that same type of energy we have in Trump. He's stuck in that toddler stage. And at that point in his life, that's when he first starts with self-expression. At that point in his life, and in a time before that, he's acting out because of the lack of love, which puts him in a fearful state. That poor man, and I know it's some people are going to lose their minds over the fact that I have pity for him, but I do. I mean, that I don't believe that he has ever known that feeling of love. When you go into that energy, you very much feel the toddler. He's not going to hear no because he's never gotten what he wanted, which was the love. And he doesn't even understand what love is and how love really functions. He knows he's missing out on something, which gives him more anger. That's why there's so much anger in there. He knows he's missing something, and it's incredibly frustrating for him because he doesn't understand it. Again, this is how the energies feel to me for entertainment purposes only. This is how the energies of these people feel for me. And I describe it that way so that you can try to see how I use the physical way that these people act and how they handle themselves. I mean, he's always like this, right? He's always with his arms crossed when he's angry. I mean, you can read this guy like a book when you can feel that energy of him blocking you out. I don't like this. I don't agree with this. I'm not listening to this. You can feel it. I mean, you can actually feel this. And that's how you get into the energy. You're feeling all of those different things from them. Just kind of think about like if you're reading something about somebody and it makes you angry, or you get a certain feeling about how that person feels because of it. Go into that. Like just pay attention to it. That's really what you're doing is paying attention to it. It's not so going into it is kind of a way to describe it, but it's really about paying attention to that energy and letting it take you somewhere. It's just allowing. It really is about noticing, paying attention, and allowing yourself to notice and pay attention. Ugh. I hope that makes sense because it's really a difficult thing to try to describe. But if you're trying to pick up on those types of energies, if you're trying to read other people's energy, that's where you start. Or that's at least how I started. That's the noticing and that's the reading of energy. But if you're trying to build a vocabulary with your guides, you have to remember that these are not like words all the time, because sometimes they are words. Sometimes I do hear things. Um, I usually hear and see at the same time. It kind of goes in this way. It's like I see it here and I hear it here, but they meet in the middle. They like meet like right here in front of my third eye, which makes sense because that's what I'm seeing. Let me give you an example of that. I was with, I was at the doctor's office the other day, and it was just, I mean, the receptionist in the room, and she heard my notification bell go off, and she goes, "Oh, is that from Bewitched?" And I said, "Yes, that's the twinkle of her nose." And she says, "Oh, that's cute." And I said, "My husband called me his witch when I first started dating because I cured his hiccups." And because I read cards and stuff. And she said, "Oh," and she was very interested in that. And she asked me if I had a card, and I gave it to her. And she then mentioned her mom. And as soon as she mentioned her mother, right there, right there, I heard and saw lilacs. And I said to her, "I'm seeing lilacs." And she was like, "Oh my God, my mother loved lilacs." I don't know, the whole thing. But that's how it comes in. It like comes in, but you kind of, it's just about paying attention. It's about paying attention to that. But to like build an actual vocabulary with your guides, a way that I do that is if I get a certain sign for something. Like, okay, if I see a cardinal, if I see a bug that's acting strangely, anything like that, you always kind of know, well, that spirit kind of like of somebody who's passed over bringing that in. Um, if I hear my crows, this is really more of the vocabulary. When I hear my crows, I know something is up. I know to pay attention to things more in more detail. So that's kind of like building a vocabulary because it's a sign that they show me to, hey, pay attention because I need to be notified to pay attention. But when I do my cards, and people often tell me that I don't read the cards right. Listen, how I do it is how I do it. How you do it is how you do it. It's that's your vocabulary. I use some of the vocabulary that is in the books on the cards that I have. Okay, like the cards. This card here is about burdens. It's about almost being at the end of your burdens, right? It's the Ten of Wands. These are normal things that you would say about these cards. Now and again, while watching other people, other readers on YouTube, they'll say something that really kind of resonates with me. And it's a different interpretation of the card, but it's one more vocabulary word that I can use with my guides. So, for instance, I have the the Nine of Swords. When I have the Nine of Swords card, that's the card with the woman up in bed, and she's got the swords all coming down around her. Nine of Swords is about being up all night worried about things. It's about anxiety. It's about things not going right. It's about a lot of different meanings. But I did hear Minnow Pond, the guy from Minnow Pond, and he says that's the card of you can be the windshield or you can be the bug. Because at the bottom, it shows at the bottom of the bed, if you look at the card, it shows someone fighting and overcoming someone else. So it's all about perception. Well, I didn't have anything that meant that you need to change your perception. So that becomes a new vocabulary word for my guides. Okay, this also means this. My Five of Swords, that's the card of don't let anybody yuck your yum. Someone's trying to yuck your yum. That's something that my guides and I have come up with for that. The Four of Cups, which is the man crossing arms like this, and he has one cup that's in front of him. He has three cups that he's ignoring, and one cup that's coming in, and he doesn't even want to look at it. And most people, and I read this also as There's something that's new that's coming in for you that you need to pay attention to look for, or it's also about you've had all of these options and you're not liking any of them. But one time it really felt to me, my immediate feeling when I looked at that card was, you have had enough. You just can't take any more. And that was very, very accurate. So that became a vocabulary word for that card. That became part of the vocabulary that I have with my guides to show me the different meanings of the cards. Just to give you some idea of how it is, but there's all sorts of ways that you build vocabulary, and it's not always a steady vocabulary. For instance, when I listen to music before I do a reading on someone, I listen to music. I just put on my Spotify and whatever comes up, comes up. And that's a big part of how I get information for the reading. And that has proven to be very accurate, which I really enjoy, because I like having more information before I even get into the reading with the person. It helps me to better understand what my guides are telling me about the cards. But sometimes it's from the title of the song that comes on. Sometimes it's the feeling of the song. Sometimes it's a memory that pops into my head from that song. And I just write it all down. And becomes part of the vocabulary, right? It's one of the ways that they're showing me how they communicate. And I say they because it feels like a lot of them. It feels like the collective. But spirit is a collective as well. Again, it's all on how you look at it, how you perceive things, how you understand things, how you feel about things, how you look at a card and think whatever you think about this card. That's you. It's a very personal thing between you and your guides, or you and spirit, however you look at it. This journey is so incredibly personal, even from before we get here. That's my belief. You believe whatever resonates with you. That's your belief, and that's what you take with you, because it's different for absolutely everyone. It's different when some people say they have guides, and some people don't believe they have guides. They believe it's just a direct connection, and it is. For them, it is a direct connection. For me, I like to have backup. I like to know that I have somebody else. I'm a team player. I want my team around me. Before, I believe in soul contracts because before I came down here, there's no way that I would come to this place without backup. There's no way. And I also wouldn't have come without a game plan. So that's why I believe in soul contracts. For people that don't believe in soul contracts, they probably just said, yeah, I think I'll just wing it. Or, you know something, I want to have the direct communication. It's just me and source. That's it. That's good. That's how I want to do things. That's what I believe happens before we get here. Again, my belief, whatever resonates with you, take that with you. That's your own personal journey. That's how readings are. It's your own personal journey on how you interpret your cards, how you interpret whatever you get from your guides. I use angel numbers all the time. They show me angel numbers. That was the first time. That was how I really knew that spirit was trying to connect with me. And this goes way, way back. This goes back 20, 25 years anyway. I would see the same numbers all the time, four and ones, fours and ones, fours and ones, all of the time. And then I was like, what does that mean? I knew it wasn't coming. I knew it wasn't a coincidence, but I needed to know where it was coming from. I needed to know, like, what does this mean? Why am I seeing these numbers all of the time? And then I would see them on license plates. I would see them on billboards everywhere. They were just showing up. But one day I was driving down the road, going to work, and I said, if this is you trying to communicate with me, if this is spirit or my guides trying to communicate with me, then show me an angel. I swear to you, this is the truth. I was driving. No sooner did I say that when a car pulled in front of me, and there were angel stickers all over this car. I mean, there were all the bumper stickers, they were everywhere. This car had about 30 bumper stickers on it, and they almost all of them were about angels. And that's really how it started, trying to figure out from there how to understand the rest of it was a bit more of a journey because there was a lot of sidetracking. There were a lot of different things that were happening at that time. So I was put on hold for a lot of it too. And you know, part of your journey when you have issues, when you have these troubles that are happening, part of that journey is also the trusting that things are going to work out, trusting that this is for your highest and the best, even if it's incredibly uncomfortable for you, even if it looks hopeless and helpless. That's when the trust really, really comes in. And that's a big part of it as well. You've got to trust that what is coming in is accurate. Before I do readings, I do a little channeling. I just, get into a spot. I sit in the love, like John of New says. I sit in that love and I just let it flow. And I'll see and hear one or two words and I'll start writing that down and I will just let it go and I will write it down. And that has proven to be incredibly accurate as well. But lots of times I'm writing it down. I'm like, there's no way this can be anything. And sure enough, it is. So there's that trust again. And as I've said before, this year is all about trust and it's all about building that relationship with spirit. It's about living in the love. It's about having that connection and it's about not going into fear. When you start a vocabulary with your guides, when you start interacting with your guides or spirit or however you look at it, when you start doing that, it brings a certain amount of peace to your life. Now, I'm not saying it's constant. I'm not saying you're constantly happy and all of that stuff. I mean, just look at my last video and look what I'm still going through, where I still feel like I need to kind of be self-isolated. There's a lot of this that goes on and things are constantly changing. Usually when I go into a period of isolation, things start to pick up for me. Something changes that brings me into a different direction. And I really feel like that's happening. So that's kind of exciting as well. But that's what I have. That's how I can explain things. Again, it's just kind of a relaxing into the energy of things when you're trying to read someone's energy. It's about just letting your mind go and just seeing where it lands. Just let it land softly on something and just let your mind go in that place. It's a very difficult thing to try to explain, but that's what I've got for you. So have a wonderful week. I love you guys. I hope this helped. Take care.